He sat and viewed the ruins, the destruction of a once great city, the city of David, the earthly home of the God of heaven and earth. He had given everything he had to avert this catastrophe, but people never listen, and the despondency overwhelmed him. My eyes fail with tears. My heart is troubled. My bile is poured on the ground. And why? Because of the destruction of the daughter of my people, because the children and the infants faint in the streets of the city. That's Lamentations chapter 2 and verse 11. And the people seemingly didn't care. Is it nothing to you, all you that pass by? Lamentations chapter 1 and verse 12. Had the people of Judah become so calloused, so apathetic in their religion, that the destruction of their temple, the mocking of their God by their enemies, was a trivial thing to them? Apparently they didn't care, and as a result, Judah has gone into captivity. Lamentations chapter 1 and verse 3. Jeremiah had done all that he could. Now he mourned while the uncaring inhabitants of the princes of the provinces trailed meekly into a humiliating slavery. It didn't have to be, but it was. Why? Why did it happen? Jeremiah tells us, and we will briefly relate the sad tale. First of all, the Lord hath afflicted her, Jerusalem, for the multitude of her transgressions. Lamentations chapter 1 and verse 5. It took a multitude of these sins before Jehovah was finally fed up. He has mercies that are boundless. Even this melancholy book tells us so. The Lord is good unto them that wait for him, to the soul that seeketh him. It is good that a man should both hope and quietly wait for the salvation of the Lord. Lamentations 3 verse 25. But Jerusalem has sinned greatly. Therefore she has become vile. Chapter 1 and verse 8. The Lord's patience will run out. They that were brought up in scarlet embrace dunghills. Chapter 4 and verse 5. Secondly, Judah listened to the wrong people. Your prophets have seen for you false and deceptive visions. They have not uncovered your iniquity to bring back the captives, but have envisioned for you false prophecies and delusions. Chapter 1 and verse 14. As mentioned before on this blog, living a righteous life is difficult. It's sin that's easy. And there's always a market for false prophets. If a man walking in the Spirit and falsehood do lie, saying, I will prophesy unto thee of wine and strong drink, he shall even be the prophet of this people. Micah chapter 2 and verse 11 reads, Those who tell people what they want to hear will always have a larger audience than those who will speak the truth. It was so in Micah and Jeremiah's day, and it is so now. God's word, though, cannot be gainsaid. Who is he that saith, and it cometh to pass, when the Lord commanded it not? Lamentations 3 and verse 37. A third reason was that Judah failed to consider the consequences of her foolish actions. She did not consider her destiny, therefore her collapse was awesome. Lamentations 1 and verse 9. Moses had warned them nearly 900 years before. Oh, that they were wise, that they would understand this, that they would consider their latter end. Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 29. God warned the people repeatedly in the law of Moses that disobedience would bring destruction. Deuteronomy chapter 8 and verse 19, Leviticus chapter 26, verses 14 and following, and many other places. But men do not heed the words of the wise and the prudent. They prefer the flattery of fools. The Lord, however, meant what he said, and the Lord has done what he purposed. He has fulfilled his word. Lamentations chapter 2 and verse 17. Actions have consequences, and if we fail to consider them, especially when explicitly warned by the Lord and his servants, then we have no one to blame but ourselves when destruction comes. How doth the city sit solitary, that was full of people? How is she become as a widow? She that was great among the nations, and princess among the provinces, how is she become solitary? Lamentations 1 and verse 1. It can happen again, but there is an answer. Let us search and try our ways and turn again to the Lord. Lamentations 3 and verse 40.